We are back finishing up week 11. Only 3 more weeks till the fantasy playoffs are upon us. And it's our winners, it's our losers. A lot of winners this week. I will say that. It was hard to come up with some losers. We definitely have more winners than losers. And we're starting off with maybe the best tight end, pass catching tight end in all of football in Brock Bowers. 16 targets, 13 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. I heard today that he already broke the single season rookie record for catches for a tight end, and we're in week 11, which is crazy. And I heard that he has a chance to break Puka's record that he set last year for catches, which is crazy as well. So my question for you, Dad, is he tight end 1 next year, and is he a first-round pick next year, kind of like Kelsey was all those years, Brock Bowers? So is he a first-round pick in redraft next year?
I'd say he's pretty damn close, and just imagine tight end premium or anything like that. This guy would be a very hot item. So, he's it's too bad. It's too bad, there's not a good quarterback getting him the ball, but that doesn't seem to be an issue. So they seem to. Obviously, he's the only one there. I mean, I think what Jacoby Myers is doing okay, but yeah, I'm top 10, 15, I'd say he's right there.
Yeah. I was just double checking. So Puka, 105 catches is what he had. Brock Bowers is on pace for 119. Over 1,200 yards. I guess the one thing with the quarterback is lack of touchdowns, only 3 on the year. He does have 2 or a touchdown in back-to-back weeks. So I think that's probably where it's going to affect him the most is you're not going to get the touchdowns from the Raiders. But, man, yeah, he's awesome. And he might be considered a first-round pick. He's already the dynasty #1 guy, and that's pretty easily. He's overtaken McBride, Laporta, those guys for sure. So – yeah, I mean, I think we can stop worrying about rookie tight ends now. We've had back-to-back years of stud rookie tight ends, so they're good.
Yeah, and there's 2 or 3 of them coming out next year that are going to be talked about a lot.
Yeah, one for sure in the first round. That is.
I know Loveland out of Michigan, and there's another guy. I can't remember his name, but
yeah, pretty awesome stuff there. I put Amari Cooper here as a loser. Just 2 catches, 55 yards. Just been kind of weird his time with Buffalo. I would think we were all really excited, and honestly, he's been kind of worse with Buffalo than he was with the Browns. Obviously he missed time. He's only played 3 games. I think he missed 2 weeks, so he's been on the team for 5 weeks. Only played 3 games, but we haven't seen his snap percentage. His highest is 51%. Now, again, it's tough to know. Is that just how they're going to use him, or is that because of the injury? But the 2 weeks before the injury, the excuse was, well, he's getting acclimated to the team. Okay. Then he gets injured, and now that's the excuse for lack of playing time. So it's like we don't know for sure. I think it's because of the injury and then, going to a new team, but we don't know for sure if that's the case, because this could be a situation where, this is kind of how they use him, and that's it. So I don't know. Any worry of Amari Cooper? Do you think him and Allen are going to kind of click here? They got to get it going right for the playoffs.
It seems like, but I would have, if I had Cooper, I'd have some concern because you haven't seen it yet, and then you need to see it, and then you need to see it another week, before you get the warm fuzzy feeling and stuff. So, there's some concern,
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right that it's kind of, we're in a situation where, we need to see it. We need to see it for a week. So we're already not starting him till week 13, essentially. So, Breece Hall, 16 carries, 78 yards, 7 catches, so over 100 110 total yards with 2 touchdowns and 7 catches. He might be the only thing going for this Jets team. It's interesting. We talked about it. Like Jets schedule, I was talking about like potentially trade for Breece Hall. The schedule is really, really nice. Started 2 weeks ago against Arizona. Then you have Colts, who Breece Hall just did this on. Seahawks, Dolphins, Jags, Rams, Bills. Those are all really good matchups. So are we seeing potential league winner Breece Hall here to end the fantasy season?
Yeah, well, this is how we envision Breece Hall should be used, and I mean, look at the yardage and then the catches and everything else. So, I mean, Garrett Wilson didn't have a very good game. Devontae Adams didn't have like a lights out game or anything like that. I know they only lost by 1 point, but this is what we think of what Breece Hall should be.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what we wanted. He's been disappointing lately, but he's still having a good year. It's just maybe not quite what we expected. But yeah, I think he's potential win you your league. And I was telling people to trade for him because of this schedule. And I don't know. Rodgers seems checked out. The defense has just fallen off a cliff. Like it's kind of just Breece Hall, and they're just going to have to run the offense through him. So, Kirk Cousins, I have here as a loser. And yeah, not even 175 passing yards for Cousins. No touchdowns, just an interception. Obviously doesn't do anything on the ground. And I was looking at it for Cousins, and he's played Tampa Bay twice this year, and I'm just looking at those numbers here. It looks like about over a third, maybe about 35 to 40% of his fantasy points has come in the 2 games against Tampa Bay. He's thrown for about 2,800 yards this year. 700 of those are in 2 games against, so again, a quarter of his yards and 7, it looks like. No, 8 of his 17 touchdowns. So almost 50% of his touchdowns and 25% of his passing yards have come in 2 games. Here. So he hasn't looked good against anyone but Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay has one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. So like I'm concerned. Are you concerned about Cousins and rest of season here? Is it Michael Penix's time?
Could be. I know he played yesterday, but it was probably garbage time or cleanup time, and those are good deep stats there about Cousins and stuff, and that he definitely. He definitely hasn't looked like Kirk Cousins in the past. It's like it's there, it's not there. The light comes on, the light goes off, that type stuff. So, yeah, there's some concerns. The Falcons, it seems like they're 6-5, but so they're in a playoff race, to a certain point, and so they're probably going to stick with Cousins, I would imagine, So,
yeah, it is concerning though, like that he hasn't really looked good. I mean, he's only thrown for over 250 yards 3 times. 2 of them, 2 of the 3 against Tampa. He's only thrown more than 2 touchdowns 3 times, 2 of the 3 against Tampa. So yeah, it's a little concerning. It really is. But I don't think they're going to be benching him or anything. T. Higgins, we have as a winner: 13 targets, 9 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, Bengals are just kind of they're the kind of thing we love for fantasy: bad defense, good offense. So Chase and Higgins are going to probably tear it up the rest of the year, unless are you worried that they maybe sit out? I know we were just talking about this. Do they maybe sit out for once the Bengals get knocked out, or if the Bengals get knocked out, or do you just expect this kind of production from these Bengals guys?
I don't know if we've really seen it where a player has kind of checked out. We've seen teams make decisions about players, and the Giants just did it with Daniel Jones because it's going to cost them another $23 million if he gets injured. So they're saying, nah, you're done the rest of the year, probably for his rest of his career. We've seen that kind of stuff, but I don't know, so if he gets hurt, the hamstring, the calf, or my knee hurts, or it's possible. Yeah. And it could be a minor injury and stuff like that. I think the Bengals, I hope we don't get to that point. We got to that point in college football where these guys aren't playing bowl games and stuff like that. And I hope we don't get to that point in the NFL where players are starting to punk out a little bit,
Yeah.
I don't recall of any players saying, I'm not playing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you get people who, like Keenan Allen, was it last year? He didn't say I'm not playing, but he was injured. And at the point he was starting to get healthy, they were way out of it. And he kind of just like, all right, we're shutting you down rest of the season. So stuff like that. But I don't know. It's always in the back of my mind, and I hope it doesn't happen either. I put Deebo Samuel here as a loser. Hasn't really done what we expected with Brandon Ayuk going out. We kind of expected Brandon Ayuk, and this was without George Kittle, by the way, as well, yesterday. But Brandon Ayuk hasn't played since October 20th. So the 49ers have played 3 games since Ayuk's ending injury. And Deebo has 86 total yards, 76 total yards, and 21 total yards, and no touchdowns. Just not what we expected. I think we expected a little bit more. He was actually better with Ayuk. I don't know if that's just a coincidence or whatnot, and again, yesterday was without Kittle as well. And it's like, is Juwan Jennings like the number 1 receiver here? Like, is he the guy out of all these guys that you want? Because he has 11 targets in back-to-back games, over 90 yards in back-to-back games, caught a touchdown yesterday. Like, is it Juwan Jennings? Is he the guy that we want on this team, or do you still believe it's going to be Deebo from this point on?
Yeah, that's a great question, and and it's a little confusing, kind of, I don't know. Seems like Deebo is kind of irrelevant a little bit, and geez, I know he's drafted pretty high, probably a second or third round, fantasy draft, and it just ain't, so everybody who's got him on their team is probably saying, I got to play him, and
Yeah, and you do. I mean, because he has those big weeks in him, and hopefully this is, we get, Deebo killing it the rest of the day, rest of the season. Jared Goff is a winner. 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. The Lions just demolished the Jags, and they didn't let up at all and kept going and going and throwing. They've done this a few times this year, which is fine. Like you gotta stop it. But no more 5 interception game for Goff, at least not in this game. Yeah, I mean, what did you want to say about Jared Goff? And
well, yeah, it's really disgusting watching the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that was talking about a team that wasn't even close to being, I mean, these are professional athletes and stuff like that. They should just seems like, I know Mac Jones and all that other stuff, but it's just, yeah, Jared Goff, you went from 5 interceptions to 4 touchdowns and 412 yards. It just wasn't even fun to watch. I mean, it's fun to watch, but because I'm a Lions fan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a lot of points.
Yeah. He's on pace for 34 touchdowns this year. So
That's pretty good.
that would be a career high. No, he looks. I mean, the team looks amazing. So, hopefully, just get them peaking in January. That's what we want here. So, Deontay Johnson, 2 targets. That's all he had. I don't really know what's going on here. Why trade for a guy who, it's not like he's a scrub. I don't think. Like, I don't really know what's happening here. Like, do they need 3 weeks to get him acclimated to the team? Like, by the way, they were coming off a 10-day break because they played a Thursday night game. Their last game before this one against Pittsburgh, and Deontay Johnson literally has 1 catch with Baltimore. He has 1 catch for 6 yards. That's all he's done.
That should be enough time to get the practice and get your.
Should be. Think, he hasn't played. He played 30%, 8%, and 18% of the snaps. Like,
well, let's
make sense.
The Ravens' offense wasn't like on fire yesterday.
Well, I understand that, but they're not. He's not even out there. It's like he doesn't even have a chance to catch the ball. Like, he's playing 18% of the snaps. Like, what are we doing?
That's terrible.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's not like Deontay's a wide receiver 4 or something. I don't know. I mean, is he cuttable at this point? Just cut him and move on. Like, I kind of feel like, yeah. You just can cut them.
Talk about dropping them in your fantasy league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you got other alternatives there, sure, why not? If not, give it another week, and if you got to carry them into the playoffs, which is fine, but you can't be thinking you're going to get a lot of production out of them the way it looks.
Yeah. And again, your Week 13 is the earliest you can start him as well because you need to see it. So it's just like Amari Cooper. Jonnu Smith, we have several tight ends on here. Brock Bowers, Jonnu Smith, who, I think we all kind of thought, because you look at his season, he didn't really do a whole lot in the beginning of the year. He had 1 good game against Buffalo, but the first 4 weeks, he had 1 good game out of 4. And then he started to do well, and it was without Tua. And we thought, okay, when Tua's coming back, it's going to be the Tyreek Waddle show. Well, last 3 weeks, 5 for 46, 3 for 45, 6 for 101. Like, it's not going away. So Jonnu's a starting caliber tight end rest of the season, I think, at this point, like, at least for the next couple of weeks, right, until we see otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. He's this is obviously a big game for him and stuff. He was wide open down the field and for a long touchdown here, but he's kind of, I don't want to say inconsistent, but or I don't want to say consistent, but it hasn't been inconsistent. So it's somewhere in the middle what he's done all year. And we know the Dolphins' offense though wasn't great without Tua, and we did, and you nailed it. You said, with Tua, you think it's going to be the Waddle Tyreek show, and then
it didn't happen.
No,
didn't happen since week 5. Jonnu is the tight end 5 on the year. That's with a bye. He's the tight end, 5 per game and 5 in total points. So, he's been really, really good. And he's on pace for over 60 catches, 750 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So that's a good year for a tight end.
That's great for a tight end, yeah.
We were talking about it, like we saw him in Tennessee look good as a receiving tight end. He signs a big contract with the Patriots. He goes to die like everyone did there for a few years. And then he went to Atlanta, kind of outplayed Pitts to a certain extent. And then the Dolphins signed him, before a free agency period. There's something with his contract, and he's been awesome this year. He's been awesome. I put Jaden Reed here as a loser. He did have a touchdown, so in terms of fantasy points, he didn't necessarily bust or anything. But he's an interesting receiver, an interesting player, and I think on a certain team he's fantastic. So overall, he's the wide receiver 11. Obviously, he's had big games, a 31-point game, a 24-point game. Those are kind of heavily weighing him. But he gives you a 5.5-point game, a 2-point game, a 6.5-point game. Even this week, it's an 8.8 game. So again, not terrible, but. And I keep bringing this up with him. It's just when they're winning, he doesn't play as much in a weird way. Like when they win a game, he doesn't play as much. Now this game was a little bit different because they probably should have lost the game and that would have like changed those numbers a little bit, but only 57% of the snaps. And generally we can't rely on players who are playing less than 70% of the snaps generally. Now he's been the exception. And I think on the right team, if you have a really good team with a lot of good players and even if Jayden Reed gives you 5 points, you can still survive because he's like your fifth guy you're expecting to give you points, then he's fantastic. If you're expecting him week in and week out, like he's one of your top 3 guys, you're probably not doing so well because he's just a little bit too inconsistent. So on the right team, he's good, but just a little bit of inconsistencies there for Jayden Reed. So just wanted to point that out. Which Packers receiver would you think you would want rest of season? Because Christian Watson yesterday, just for reference, only 4 targets, but 4 catches, 150 yards. We know about Romeo Doubs is still there. So it's basically between Doubs, who only had 2 targets, 1 catch, Doubs, Reed, and Watson. Really, to me, it's Jayden Reed or Watson. Is there a guy that you lean towards? Is it still Jayden Reed?
Geez, it's tough to look. I remember looking at Jordan Love's stats. They didn't throw the ball a lot. No. So it's like, and you got all these mouths to feed, plus a tight end and stuff like that. And it's like, man, I do like Jayden Reed and I do like Doubs. Watson has he done anything except for yesterday?
He had another good game as well. So yeah, you're right. Jordan Love only threw the ball 17 times yesterday. So kind of a weird. I think they only ran like 40 something plays, which is pretty low.
Wow.
Yeah. No, you're right. And again, it's more like I said, like on the right team, Jayden Reed's awesome. So we're actually finishing it out with 3 winners because I added a couple because there's just too many to not talk about. But we'll finish up with the last one for you. Cooper Kupp, 10 targets, 6 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. By the way, Puka was good as well. So you would think,
absolutely.
Puka wasn't, maybe Puka had a down game. No, 7 for 123 and a touchdown. So this is what we expect from these 2 guys, right? And Matthew Stafford had a good game. Like we're expecting 5+ catches, the opportunity for 100+ yards and always to get touchdowns. So they can definitely coexist, right?
Definitely. And they won the game. I think it was like 28-27, but Kupp looked good. I think he had a big play that contributed.
Yeah.
And he's not usually a big play guy. He's kind of more volume, yards after catch and all that other stuff. But the Rams passing game was, I think they were playing in New England. So, but it was definitely on. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I kept saying it, like they are a little bit inconsistent. So I don't think they're quite there, but I said it a few weeks ago when all these guys are healthy, Kupp, Puka, Cooper Kupp, Stafford, Kyron, then you get the other pieces in like Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Colby Parkinson or Higbee whenever he comes back, if he does. Arguably the best offense in the NFL or like up there in the top 5, but they are a little bit too inconsistent to claim that. But yeah, I mean, when they're all clicking, they're a good team, and I think they're going to win the NFC West. But that's for a later conversation here. I've added a couple here. I added Bo Nix again. Bo Nix, who had 300 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. And you start looking at his numbers now. Again, he's averaging 206 passing yards a game, which is not anything to go crazy about, but 206 passing yards a game. He's on pace for 3,500 yards passing, He has 14 touchdowns passing in 11 games. So that would be just doing quick math here. That would be 22 passing touchdowns. And not to mention his rushing work, which kind of gives he didn't do much. He didn't do anything really rushing in this game, but he's averaging 26.8 rushing yards a game. So he's on pace for over 450 rushing yards, and he has 4 rushing touchdowns. If he keeps this up, he might win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know we already handed that to Jaden Daniels, but he actually has more touchdowns than Jaden Daniels.
You know, when ESPN scoring for the season, he's the number 7 quarterback. That's it.
Yeah.
It just tells you right there. You know, it's like, I'm just looking at it, I'm going, oh my God. You know, I thought maybe he'd be like number 12 or something like that. And it's like, shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely looking the part. I mean, they throttled the hell out of Atlanta, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, he keeps this up. Like, he might win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, that's how crazy it is. So, and then Taysom Hill, I had to bring up Taysom Hill. I think he's the number 1 scorer in all of fantasy this week. I don't think I've ever seen a stat line like this. 7 carries, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns, 10 targets, 8 catches, 50 yards. He had 18 passing yards. He threw an interception. And by the way, and I'm just double checking here, I'm pretty sure he returned a kick as well for a decent gain here. I'm just double checking his kick return. He had a kick return for 42 yards as well. He's their personal protector for the punter as well. Like, the dude just does everything. And I've never seen a player like this. And they should use him more because they're good when they use him. Like, this is insane, you know, absolutely insane. So it's just kind of fun to see.
Yeah, all these talk shows on TV and stuff like that. They should. This should be their opening comment, not the Lions killed the Jaguars or anything. And it's like, did you see Taysom Hill's stat line? That's what they ought to be talking about.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool to see. Like, I like, you know, stuff like that. And and their offense is just better when he's going. Like, it really is. It really is just better when he's going. So, and for whatever reason, people can't stop him. You know, they can't stop him.
Yeah, he's not fast. He's not shifty. He's not, you know, he's just a good football player, you know. And
absolutely. Yeah.
It's kind of, obviously, you know, like in football, you're like a traditionalist, and, you know, in baseball and other sports. And when you see something different, you go, yeah, whatever. And it's kind of a clown show or, you know, something. But Taysom Hill that is far from the truth on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. He's old too. He's like 35 or something.
Yeah. He's
around forever.
He's from BYU. So he might be
Yeah, I think he is too. So, but that is it for week 11. We will continue on into week 12, and appreciate everyone watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you all very, very soon.